Yo, 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 what's going on? What's going on? This is your boy, Kevin Unglad,
And this is Mark Pruden.
and we are the Wise Guys Podcast, here for our very, 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 very first week. Mark, man, how you doing, bro?
Doing good, man. You're entering this new year and, just trying to figure out how I can improve, make it better. It's a lot of thinking going on right now, for sure. How about you?
Absolutely, man. Likewise on my end, too. Just a lot of thinking, a lot of reflecting as we now enter this new year and just thinking about how to make the next decade better than the last. You know, you always want to build and you always want to be on the trajectory to self-improvement, so you always want to make sure that, that's the way you're going, so.
100%.
Yeah, man.
Totally agree with that.
For sure, for sure. So, again, Happy New Year to you once again.
Happy
And
New Year, bro.
for sure, and we're here back once again with our listeners as we embark on this new path, man, this new journey with the Wise Guys Podcast, don't you think?
Absolutely, man. It's exciting to be able to launch the content and allow the viewers to see our thoughts and the thoughts of our guests as well. So it's definitely it's a beautiful thing that we have this in front of us to see what this podcast will turn into.
Right.
So it's awesome.
I agree, and this is how do I say this to you? This is a bittersweet moment with this being our very first episode, one of our very first few episodes for launch, because it seems as if we've been getting a lot of energy. Correct me if I'm wrong, in the comment section on a lot of our preview snippet of topics for the first 3 episodes. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing that same energy in the comment section transfer onto the actual content of the podcast itself. Man, what do you think?
Most definitely. I mean, it was great seeing the feedback and even, the people that agreed and also disagreed. We had a lot of debates going on in the comment section. So if we're getting that type of energy off of a preview, I think they'll really like what we have in store, bro.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. So, the people out there, we are going to dub and Christian you all as the Wise Community, all right? You guys are our Wise Community. And if you've been, checking out our comments, commenting, back and forth with us and as well as everyone else in the comment section on social media, then you already know that, we've started this or we've coined this phrase called Wise Community. But if you haven't as of yet, if you haven't come to terms with who we are yet, or haven't checked out any of our brief, content in general, the Wise Community, all right? That's what we're going to name this community here of listeners. And hopefully down the line, the more we progress, hopefully you all can provide us feedback on the technicalities of the show. What do you think about the show? What do you like about the show so far? And how we could possibly make it better for you all, because this show is geared towards all of us self-improving our lives. Mark, I know we've talked about it briefly, leading up to the show, and as well as this very first episode. But could you please tell the Wise Community out there what the intentions of this podcast is?
Oh yeah, for sure. So it's like we said, we're the wise guys, and we don't necessarily consider ourselves the wisest people, but it's really all about just sharing knowledge and the thoughts and opinions that lead towards success. Like, we all go through different trials and tribulations, and we also go through positive things as well. And I think it's important that we share that, because we can all help each other in this journey to success. And we're just highlighting these ups and downs, because they make good conversation, and we can all learn from these conversations. What do you think about that, bro?
No, I totally agree. I think before we started this podcast, I think one of the first few things we said is that this podcast was geared towards self-improvement, and you came up with the genius phrase of this podcast being a platform where millennials who currently face challenges and roadblocks towards success can deal with those roadblocks and challenges head on in order to strive and reach the penultimate point of their journey. So I thought that was genius by you, and I totally fell in line with that, and I think that's definitely what this podcast is all about. But I think Before I throw some things at you and we really get started here and delve deep within these topics, I think the listeners are really going to get an experience that they haven't gotten before in regards to other podcasts because, we have, varying perspectives. You being an entrepreneur, being an investor, and then me, myself, being an educator, being a professor, a writer, poet, and also an entrepreneur a bit myself. I wouldn't say to the level that you are at currently in regards to your level of intensity and focus on it. I'm still trying to, just take my time with it. But definitely, I think just our various perspectives is going to be good. And I also think, too, like the Wise community, they have so much in store. We have so much in store for them that they don't even know about in regards to the guests, man. I think our key and like our secret weapon is going to be the guests that we're going to bring onto the show to provide the various perspectives that the Wise community is going to profit from. And when I say profit, I don't mean financially, but I mean profit in terms of spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. It's gonna be wonderful.
Definitely. Okay, Mark. So we all know that when it comes to the new year, right? Everyone usually has a New Year's resolution, and I know you've heard of this before. I can't even begin to think how many times I've heard the phrase "New Year, New Me," and yada yada yada. I'll be honest with you, I've probably done a New Year's resolution twice or three times, maybe like during my teens, and I've never stuck it out with them. Like it just never happened.
Right.
And it got to the point where I got tired of just like coming up with a New Year's resolution because I feel as if most people don't stick with them anyway. And I feel as if the best way to be a person who resolves to become a better person is just by giving your best effort and knowing what your strengths and your weaknesses are and trying to maintain the strengths and while trying to improve the weaknesses. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I always like to say you can't wait for a day to reset your life or reset your focus. You can do that on any day of the year.
Right.
And if you wait until that day, December 31st to get your life together, you really just nullified the previous year. Like you really have so much time. You can't like kind of align yourself with the world. You have to make your own day. You have to make your own, day of change.
Right. Most certainly, for sure. So I want to, for this first episode, I want to scratch out this idea of New Year's resolution. What I want to talk to you about instead is what are some tips that we can, what are some tips that we as people, that we can share, with the Wise community, and what are some tips in general, like the whole entire community itself, that we can extract and like just exchange with each other in order to grow. Sorry about that, Wise community. You got to be patient with us. This is the very, very first episode, so I can see how we're out of whack. By the way, this episode right here, episode 1.5, is called The Follow Through. All right, it's called The Follow Through. So this is two of episode number 1. So this is part 2 of episode number 1. We have 2 episode number 1s for you. We're going to launch the first week. All right. And so this episode is called The Follow Through. Mark, you already know what the follow through is, right? When you're playing basketball, right? And you're going over a screen, and then you jump to your highest peak with the ball in your hands, and then as you throw the ball up there and you throw it towards the rim, you just pretty much leave your elbow and your arm extended to watch the ball go through the net. And I would say there's a follow through process in every sport, right? When football, the follow through is to run to make sure you reach the baseline to touchdown, right? Or like whether it's baseball, you want to extend your arm and your shoulders all the way back, so that way when the ball is pitched at you, you can hit it out the park and go on a home run, right? So
exactly.
How can we possibly start this process with the follow through, Mark? What are some examples you would like to provide in regards to following through on all of the things or tasks you have in mind in order to get them completed? I think I'm making this more complicated than it is, Mark. I think essentially what I'm trying to say is, what is your process on following through and achieving? Like, how have you achieved and how have you evolved as a person that has become this investor, this business person over the past couple of years? What's your follow through plan?
Man, almost every week, I go to my board and I write my goals, and I feel like I do it in such a way where every week or every month I'm able to scratch something off or alter something. you want to be able to show progress, because I feel like when we write down a goal, we write it down, but sometimes it's hard to reward yourself or show yourself that, okay, I'm slowly accomplishing this.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if I have a goal to sell a certain amount of items,
Mm-hmm.
every time I sell an item, I'm going to scratch that off, just because it gives me the satisfaction of I'm slowly getting to that moment, or
Yeah.
getting to that goal. So if I want to lose weight, every pound I'm losing, I'm scratching that off my board. So I feel like you kind of have to reward yourself, instead of just writing something down and looking at it every day, but never being able to show progress. So I feel like we have to reward the brain, and then show that we are completing it. So I have a board in my room, and I try to scratch off a number, or make an alteration every week or so, to show myself that it's happening. I'm getting there. I want to save, $20,000. Every dollar I save, I'm scratching that off, and I'm changing the numbers, just so I can show myself it's getting done.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like we tell ourselves things, and we don't really acknowledge the progress, and we eventually give up because it seems so far away.
Right.
So that's one of the things I like to do.
Well,
what about you?
Well, before I answer, I just want to. I definitely have a response for you, but I definitely wanted to poke and prod a little bit there, if you don't mind me asking you. What is the for you personally? What is the reward? Is the reward scratching off the goal off your list, or is the reward doing something beneficial for you? Whether it's like, I don't know, getting a haircut, or spending 20 minutes watching television. Like, what is that reward for you?
Yeah, the reward for me is just actually, scratching it off the board and seeing that it's getting done, because, my passion and the reason for my being, I kind of dedicated that to building wealth and establishing some passive income in my life. So that's all I really care about. I don't really care about, fun or enjoyment. I've dedicated all of my thinking and all of my being towards establishing something.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know it's not the average mindset, and it's a bit insane, but that's just the way I'm wired right now.
Right.
I think I'll eventually wind down, but I'm kind of my thinking, it's almost like obsessive.
Right.
And I don't think that's healthy, but this is the way I'm wired, man.
Yeah. No, I think that's cool. That's why I wanted to, poke and prod and have you be particular, because if the listener is just listening passively, they wouldn't have known what your reward was. And I'm sure that's what they were searching for, which is why I asked you, because whether they decide to follow your blueprint or not, just getting a sense of a different perspective and what works for other people, it might allow them to formulate and craft their own.
That's true.
So, yeah. But you know what? I'm the same way. I think maybe like 6 years ago, back in 2013, 2014, I started creating, around that time I started, creating my publishing press, Flowered Concrete.
Right.
So what I wanted to do around that time frame was to ensure that, how do I say this to you? I wanted to ensure that I was building, the foundation or the blocks of the company in order to build it into something that would be formidable in 10, 15, 20 years, right? And although now, 6 years later, I'm nowhere near where I want to be, I feel as if like just getting started in general is the hard part. And once you do that, you kind of like, start revising and start, reworking the vision as you go along. And so similar to you, I definitely started a vision board for my company all those years ago. And it was like a 5-year plan. And I think I had a whole bunch of stuff on it, and I started checking those things off. And sometimes things started popping up, and I was like, oh, wow, this is pretty cool. I actually achieved this. I actually did this. So I could just check this off. And I think somewhere around 2018, 2017, 2019, I pretty much got everything done through that board. It wasn't like a 5-year vision board. It was more like a 3-4 year. But I think at the time, me being 22 or 23, however old I was at the time, I think it was a nice start. Just to even be that young, even to create something was pretty cool. Yeah. And then last year, I think, was it last year? I think last year or the year before, in 2017, I started creating individual, like an individual vision board, so like a personal one. and that personal one encompassed all of the things that I wanted to get done. So that the first year for that vision board was 2018, and I think it's currently going up to 2021. And as I continued to complete something, I would just check it off, check it off. Now, mind you, as you know, Mark, I live in Hartford, Connecticut right now, but I'm also originally from Queens, like you. So I actually didn't bring that vision board home with me to Hartford when I moved to Connecticut in 2017. What I did instead is I left it in my own room back home in Queens, so that way every time I go see my family for a vacation or a holiday, whether it's like Christmas, Thanksgiving, July 4th, or maybe I'd like to go spend a month, or not a month, but like a week there in August, like during summertime. Every time I go back there, I go into my room, and it kind of keeps me focused and holds me accountable. So like, let's say if I haven't gone home in like 4 or 5 months, when I go back there, I'm like, oh shoot, like I still have this to accomplish for the year. Did I get this done yet? You know? And I'm really, really happy to say to you that at the end of 2018, out of everything that I had on my vision board for the year of 2018, my personal board, I accomplished 10 out of 12 things. So I had 10 checks and I had 2 minuses. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, man. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, I feel like just having the board itself, it really just holds you accountable. It's
right.
Like, can you stare your goals in the face every morning?
Yeah.
A lot of people can't do that. You know, they want to shy away from it, but when you wake up and that's all you see,
yeah,
it really makes you really want to go for it and actually get things done.
I agree. I could bring it here again, as I said, I could bring it to Hartford, but the only reason why I've decided to refrain from doing it is because I don't want to bring it here, and I kind of get caught up in doing so many other things. Because, like, I mean, as you know, being a teacher is like a 100% full-time job, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little slowed down in like my other extracurricular endeavors, whether it's my artistry, writing, being a poet, whether it's running Flower to Concrete as a publishing company and whatnot, and looking for other authors to publish. Like, a lot of that stuff slowed down. And I'm not going to be a teacher forever. I'm going to be transitioning very, very soon. So, I'm just trying to get myself set up in the meantime. But every time I head back home to Queens and I look at that vision board, it holds me accountable. And when I leave it to head back to Connecticut, I always say to myself, okay, like, you have 4 things left on the board this year. You could rewrite it down, but no, you know what those things are. You're a grown adult. There's no need for you to like really write them down somewhere else, because like they're major things, whether it's like, paying off your student loans, or whether it's like fully paying off the final payment on your car, or like making sure you take time to fill in an application to win a scholarship or a fellowship. These are major things that I know I have lined up, so it's not going to be easily for me to forget them. It's just whether I'm going to go through it or not, the follow through, as I said.
Exactly. Definitely. I agree with that for sure.
For sure. So, what do you think? I think basically us saying what we just said just now, it just pretty much says, like, for the listeners, they should just pretty much do what they feel comfortable with. And it's weird. I feel as if they should do what they feel comfortable with, but also what makes them uncomfortable at the same time. That way they could, like, start their process to growth,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, not too much so that they shut down, but enough that, you remember and you're intentional with what you want to do.
Absolutely. Okay, so I know, we have our Word to the Wise segment that comes last, but being that this is one of 2 very first episodes, I don't want to get to it right away. I'll get to it soon enough, but I kind of want to, you know what, Mark, this is our very first episode, and I know we're not men that play games, but, let's play a quick game. I'm going to throw some words at you, and I'm going to tell you what you think about them, all right? So this game, actually, believe it or not, it's not really a game in real life. Wise Community, basically what this is that I have another vision board at my house with a whole bunch of quotes. Matter of fact, I'm going to read some quotes to you, Mark, too, and you're going to tell me what you think about them. So it's a vision board that I have in my house, in my living room, with a bunch of quotes, and as well as a bunch of key words. We're just going to kind of go back and forth, and we're going to see what both Mark and I think about it, all right? So the name of this game, I'm going to call it The Grind, all right, because that's what's written on my vision board. All right, so the first word that I have here, Mark, so these are all principles that I live by, and I've pretty much compiled them over the years. And at the end, you can tell me whether you appreciated it or not. So for the first word for The Grind, I want to go with the word process. And then in what do you call those brackets? I guess you just call them parentheses. There we go. So process, and then in parentheses it says trusted. What do you think about the process, Mark? What does the process mean to you?
Yeah, the process, I'd say, process is just a journey, you know. And when I think of the process, I think of the downs more than the ups, because those have the biggest lessons.
Right.
So I'd say the process is more just a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what I get out of it. The process is a learning experience, and when you're completed with the process, I'm sure you'll be very knowledgeable in whatever you do, and you'll be a master of what you do. So, yeah, I'd say it's a learning experience.
Yeah, same here. I think the process is a learning experience. And I think the process is also the method behind the madness, right? The mechanics that are repeated over and over in order for you to get to where you want to get to. So I think process is pretty good. Like, for example, like we talk about all the time, like, you know, with the Philadelphia 76ers, right? The NBA basketball team, like, trust the process, right? And like sometimes you're going to have to go through 8 drafts and 7, you know, excuse my language, 7 shitty years and bad seasons in order to get, you know, assemble the jewels or the pieces that you need to really start formulating and building the team around. So I think that's
a fact.
Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. Another word I have here, Mark, that I live by on my grind vision board is consistency. What does consistency mean to you? Is that an important word, you think, for 2020?
I think it's all about pace. You know, if you're gonna say you're going to do something, you want to do it every day. You know, you want to keep it up. You don't want to make this a once a month thing.
Right.
You know, especially if you want to lose weight or you want to get in shape. You're not going to work out once a month or once every 2 months. You want to probably do this every day or every other day. You want to keep it up, keep it going, because without consistency, you'll eventually fall off.
Yeah, agreed.
Definitely.
Well, you know, I think you pretty much said everything there, so I'm not really gonna add too much there. I'll add to some of these, but not all of these. Hard work, Mark. What would you say to the wise community about hard work?
Hard work. I'd say that's the formula to success, but it's not the whole formula. It's definitely it's all about a grind. You're gonna have to be willing to put all of your energy and effort into your craft.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to be strategic and work hard,
mm-hmm.
because anyone can just work hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's people that work hard and get nowhere.
Right.
But if you're intentional and you have a strategy, you know, aligned with that hard work, that's the formula to success. So I think hard work and strategy is what you need. For
sure. I think you've heard this saying or this phrase before, right? Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think
it was
Bill Gates. I think he said he would. I think he said something about he likes to hire lazy people because they always find an easier way to get something done.
Wow. He likes
and that's an innovator.
Wow.
That's an innovator. So it's interesting.
So could you repeat that phrase one more time for me?
Yep. I think it was Bill Gates. Don't quote me on it, but he said he likes to hire lazy people because they always find an easier way to get something done.
Wow. Interesting. That's interesting. I haven't heard that one before. I gotta make a note to remember that. Okay. Cool. The next one in the grind, we have we just finished up hard work, right?
Yeah, we just did hard work.
Okay.
Yep.
So the next one we have here is dedication. What do you think about dedication?
That's a huge component to success too. I mean, a lot of people, they love something, or they feel like they have a gift with something, but they can't buy in. And if you're not dedicated to your craft, I mean, the flower really won't ever rise. You know, you won't ever be successful. You can be a great basketball player, you can have the natural talent and the natural skill, but if you're not dedicated enough to shape and mold that talent, you're really never going to make it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So dedication, that's a good one. You know what? I want to poke and prod kind of getting off topic, but still staying on topic at the same time. I kind of
Yep.
want to go this way with you. So that was a really good one for dedication. I'm curious to get your idea on the word. This word is always interesting to me. Potential. What does the word potential mean to you? Because we always hear, oh man, like that guy had so much potential, man. If he really wanted to, he could have been the best, basketball player in the world, or he could have been the best person at the law firm, and they had so much potential to really shake things up in the world and be a game shaker and a game changer, but they kind of just settled. What do you think about potential? Because I have my own feelings about potential. I personally feel that potential isn't what talents and natural born based skills you have. I personally feel, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and kind of compare it to basketball. I feel as if potential is the amount of time you put into it in order to improve your craft, like a Kobe Bryant or a Kawhi Leonard, like guys who, weren't heralded, they weren't senior heralded as number one picks, but they put the time into really honing and refining their craft, getting into the gym early in the morning, like around 3, 4 a.m., insane hours, putting that amount of time in, and then going to the gym later at 12, taking a break, going back into the gym at 5 or 6, and then going back into the gym like around 11, 12 midnight. I think Kobe once said, when he used to train during his prime, he would train 4 times a day, as I would say. He would train like around 3 a.m., then again at 9 a.m., then again at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and then again at 10 or 11. And then he was like, I was doing that consistently, right? That's one of our words here for the grind. Consistently for about 5, 6 years straight, and he was doing that, putting that time in during the summers, more so especially. He was like, when I did that, and then now I'm playing against guys, in year 4, year 5, he was like, I've put in so much more time, in year 5 that I'm actually, in theory, 10 years ahead of you as compared to where you're at in year 5, where you're really like at year 2, year 3, in regards to the 10,000 hours that you put in.
Right, exactly. I get you. I totally get you on that one.
Yeah, but what do you think? What do you think about potential?
Yep, the word potential. I always think natural skills or natural abilities that one may have, because once Kobe was in his prime, no one ever said he had potential to be great. They knew he was great.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like potential is like almost like raw talent or like raw skill.
Mm-hmm.
And if they just hone those, if they really take that raw skill and ability and really refine it and work on it, then they can reach the success that is projected for them. That's what I usually think when I hear that.
Okay. So what do you think about people who people don't see anything in? For example, I'll go with a couple. For me personally, I'll go with a Donald Glover, Childish Gambino. One of my favorite artists, rappers. Creator of Atlanta. Mastermind behind the Childish Gambino persona in terms of music. People weren't checking for him in music, but right after he put out the Atlanta TV show and then he put out his album Redbone, he blew up. And then I'm also thinking about too, like Isaiah Thomas, who was playing for the Boston Celtics but was drafted by the Sacramento Kings back in 2011. Manu Ginobili, another late second rounder. I'm thinking of a couple more people I can't even think here. Gilbert Arenas, like these guys who I don't know if they didn't have talent, but people weren't really checking for them, and then they exploded. Do you see that where people kind of rise out of nowhere as potential, or do you see that as a matter of working hard?
That's the thing, because anyone that gets drafted by the NBA, they have potential, or anyone that plays college basketball has potential.
Mm-hmm.
I think someone with no skill at all, someone with no skill or ability that wants to play basketball, we wouldn't say that person has potential. We'll say, keep working hard. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
It's just like, it's just the potential. There has to be something there already to have potential, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not to say that someone can't work hard and develop, the potential to be great, because I feel anybody can if you dedicate it.
Right. Agreed, for sure. Patience. A couple more words here. We're almost there. But patience. What do you think about the word patience in terms of, becoming successful and developing yourself as a person?
Yeah, it's a long journey, man. Especially if you're developing, building a career or building a business or investing. I mean, you're gonna have to wait, and while you're waiting, you have to put in the work. So it's hard to have patience because a lot of people want that overnight success.
Yeah.
Like some people may go to college for the 4 years and they're promised that job, and when they don't get it right away, it could be discouraging, it could be depressing. But you really just have to keep that motor going and just have patience that it will work out. But you can't have, you know, I don't want to call it dumb patience, but I guess I'll coin that phrase, dumb patience, because someone can be waiting for something that's never coming.
Mhm.
Like we do have to be realistic with our patience.
Mhm.
Like certain investments just aren't smart investments. So you
Right.
can be patient with it. You can wait as long as you want to, and nothing's gonna happen.
Mhm.
So, yeah, definitely. I think there's good patience and there's bad patience.
Right. Right. No, I hear you with that. I definitely agree.
Yeah,
Cool.
definitely. That's an interesting one.
Yeah,
Patience. I
for
never
sure,
thought of
for
it
sure.
negative
Oh
side, but
man,
definitely there's negative
I
sides. Yeah.
I think for me personally, I think I've become the master at patience. I think I've really become the master at patience. Patience is something that I thrive on. Like I know now, I can tell you right now, Mark, what when my next book is gonna drop. But like, I'm not worried about it. I'm more so worried about the present. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
how to like formulate different ideas and craft different concepts on how to build a narrative around that book, or how to build my marketing, or like my research, and how to get people to buy the book or be invested into it, or how to show how the story itself of the book relates to people's lives. So I can't put that out right away. I need to take time to let it stew, let it fester, and see what people are really into to kind of like figure it out. Um,
Right. Exactly. Yep.
so I think that's pretty interesting. Also, I just to mention him again, Donald Glover, Childish Gambino. I remember a few years ago they were talking to him about his ascension in regards to music and film and TV and all of the stuff that he's doing. And then he was like, it's kind of like, a few years ago I planted a seed long ago, and when I planted the seed, it had nothing, it had no roots. Then eventually the roots started coming, and then as the roots started to coming, then you started to see the fruit pop up, but the fruit was very undeveloped. And then as time progressed, and I started to expand and build my career in acting, film, and music, people only wanted to label me as one thing. But then when they saw how good I was in one thing, then they saw my natural talents in the other. And the thing that people didn't realize is that unlike other folks, I had naturally been doing all of these things my whole entire life since I was a little kid. So it wasn't like, the industry just kind of said, oh wow, let's make him a star, let's put him in music now, or let's put him in film so that way he can continue to blossom and grow, we'll make more money off of him. He was like, no, like I've been doing all of these things since I was a little kid. I was genuinely passionate about each and every single one of these fields. So I knew that as long as I kept doing everything all at the same time simultaneously, then eventually one fruit would start developing, and while the other one was underdeveloped, it would start to catch up in time. So I thought that was pretty
Wow.
interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting because a lot of the books I've read say focus on one thing and one thing only so that you can be great at that one thing. But he's saying he's focusing on five things, and when one thing blows up, the rest will slowly, they'll catch on as well. That's interesting.
Right. Yeah, it's very, very
Very
interesting. Yeah, for sure. The
But
next.
then again, he's in the entertainment
Right.
space, but it's all
Right.
entertainment at the same time. So maybe
Right.
that is the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting though, for sure. But my next word here I'm gonna throw at you is confidence. How important is confidence in terms of self-development and what people may want to realize and see materialize in 2020? Confidence.
Yeah, confidence is big because if you can't get yourself to believe your own vision, it's not going to happen. No one's going to make it happen for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to have that blind confidence. Like you just got to be crazy. Like
Yeah.
I enjoy when I start speaking about like my goals and dreams, and people look at me like that's not going to happen. Like that sounds crazy. I like that because it shows that these dreams are much bigger than they can even comprehend.
Yeah.
So it's like you almost have to sound crazy, and if you don't sound crazy, you sound normal.
That's
normal
true.
is broke.
Yeah.
Sadly.
No, it's true. It's true. It's true, and I know I usually I usually laugh out of things you say out of truth, but I'm not gonna laugh at this, even though I know it's the truth, is because I resonate with it so much and so deeply. I remember back in 2014, 2013, I was doing an internship with a publishing company, and I remember one of the literary agents at the publishing company. I stayed in touch with him. And I told, I went to the office one day, one random day during the summer of 2014, and I was like, hey, how you doing? I just thought I was just, in the area, so I thought I'd stop by and say hello. And then he was like, oh, cool, that's really, really cool. I was like, yeah, we should definitely stay in touch, stay connected. And then he was like, yeah, sure. So I remember he gave me his number and his email, and he told me just to reach out to him anytime. So I sent him an email, and I said, hey, I would love to catch up for drinks one day, if anything. And then he was like, sure. And I remember we sat down, we had drinks, and then I gave him my business card, and it was an early sketch. Looking back at it, it was an awful early sketch of Flowered Concrete. Like, the business card was sloppy, it wasn't well put together, but I was talking to him about Flowered Concrete and just kind of giving the whole spiel about what it was and what I wanted it to become. And he seemed to be invested in terms of like how passionate I was, but in a very nice way. I could look into his eyes and see that he thought I was crazy. Like, he was just like, does this guy really think he's going to bring this into fruition and really make this happen? But I wasn't trying to like have him there to give me a handout or anything. I was just trying to sit with him because as a literary agent, he wanted to see if I had any material that he could possibly look at to see if it was publishing worthy. But that's not what I was trying to sell him. I was like, hey, I'm trying to sell you on what I have going on right now. Like, maybe we can talk about it. Maybe you could put me in the right directions. But he didn't want to do that. He was just like, no, this is too grand. Like, I'm not starting a publishing company. Who does this guy think he is starting his own? Like, he's crazy. And I never saw him since then, but I guarantee you, mark my words, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, one day he will see me again and see like, wow, like this guy became everything he said he was going to become. So.
Most definitely. I mean, Amazon started with books and it exploded from there. So.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you bought into it yourself and everyone around you doesn't believe it, that just means you're onto something. You know what I mean? It means that your vision is much larger than they can comprehend, man.
Right.
So that's amazing.
For sure. And I want to touch on this last one real quick. We talked about it in our prior first episode, execution, aka finish it, execute. What do you think about that one? Execution.
It's definitely all about the execution for sure. I mean, everybody can talk the talk and they can speak about what they want and what they want to do, but if they can't execute, they're just talking. They're just dreaming. We have to have goals and not dreams. And a lot of people are really good at the talking part, but they can't really make it happen. Can you get to 100 million? Can you get to 1 million?
Mm-hmm.
So it's true. It's true. Have to be able to execute. And if you can't execute, you have to be able to walk away.
It's true. I remember just like on the rise in the scene in terms of like writing poetry, all this other stuff. I can't even begin to tell you how many people said, "Hey, I got an idea. I want you to help me publish this book, or I want you to give you this thought on my book, and I'm gonna write it and I'm gonna send it to you, and I want you to give me some feedback, and I'm gonna publish it." Or like, I would love to work with you on your project. But how many of those people, Mark, actually followed up to collaborate with me or to send me their manuscript so I can kind of give them a suggestion or two to tell them how they did? And to this day, I know a couple of people who said that they were writing something and they have not put out anything to this day.
Yeah, they like the idea of it, but a lot of people, they dream, man, and a lot of people leave those dreams alone after a while, and they just let it just blow away, and they get, I don't know, I think what it is that we get tied up into our daily lives, man. Like, if we're working 40, 50 hours a week, we have that dream, but we just don't have enough energy to really just put into that area as well, into an extracurricular activity aside from our job. And I remember the days, man, a job really tires you out, and you really don't have much drive towards anything but getting in your bed and sleeping. But sometimes we just have to have that thing that really pushes us, that factor in our life that really makes us want to keep going.
Yeah.
And mine was always just being poor, just not being wealthy, not having anything to pass down.
Yeah.
I think about that every single day.
Yeah. I think for me, a couple months back, when I was working at my last school, the middle school I was working at, this is like around last year, around April, May, June, around that time. And I had completed writing the poems for my next poetry book, my next poetry collection, A Flower That Rose. But I I hadn't like I wanted to write like essays, like brief mini essays to kind of like give like the readers lessons and as well as different principles that they could walk away from, and also to kind of just give them a peek into my life. But I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Honestly, coming home every day from work, like you get up around 7, you head to work around 8, you start at 8:30. By the time I would get home some days, bro, it would be like 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and write. If I could just sit down and write consistently for 5 days over the next 3 weeks, I'll have like this part of the book just completely done. Then I could start typing and getting everything ready. And then so I'd come home, I'd shower, I'd eat some food. Bro, once I was finished eating the food, I was done, man. I was like, do I really have to sit down and write this? It took a lot of discipline some days for me to sit down and force myself to write. But it was that drive, like, no, I need to get this book done. Imagine what this book could possibly do for so many people down the line. It's not just about you. It's about the people. It's about touching them. It's about providing an impact. So.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And as well, and especially like when we first start our businesses or different ventures, it's not always the most profitable thing. So not only are we tired, now it's not necessarily making us a lot of money at that moment. So it's like, man, I'm just going to sleep. But it's just like you said, thinking long term and knowing what something can be and investing that time and being patient. And then when the time comes and it explodes and turns into a very beautiful business or venture, I mean, all those hours will be worth it, all those sleepless nights and stuff like that. So it's an investment. It sure is.
For sure. Definitely. And when we say that, even if you're not currently thinking about starting your own business or investing in your own company or I don't know, buying stock or doing something to that magnitude or that level of Mark or myself. It could be anything, and I struggle with this too sometimes. It could be anything from like eating healthy or going to the gym, saying you want to accomplish this goal and lose 60 pounds over the next 3 months, and but you haven't been hitting the gym. You're like, oh yeah, I'll start like 3 months into my my weight plan, and I'll still catch up. And no, there's no such thing. Like it kind of connects back to dedication, discipline, hard work, and patience. All of the previous skills or notes we touched upon previously. If you are not doing all of those things early and through those constant steps of consistency, hard work, dedication, discipline, and having patience and executing, then you will not see the results you want to see. So it takes a lot, man, to really adjust your mindset to saying, I'm going to do this and I'm going to complete it. So what Mark and I want you to know is that we're not just talking about building wealth, generating wealth, and investing. We're talking about any little thing in your life, whether it's losing weight, whether it's like fixing your diet, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. All those words that you mentioned tie into everything in life. Any aspect in life that you want to improve or get better in, it's going to take hard work, patience, determination, all the words that you mentioned. So these are definitely universal.
Yeah, for sure. And the last one, I'm really interested to get your take on this, Mark. It's really not like an active verb in terms of process, but I think it's a noun that we all can appreciate. Gratitude. What do you think about that one? Gratitude.
Yeah, I mean, Gary Vee talks about that a lot, and it is important as well because, even through the journey, it's hard and strenuous, but you have to be thankful. You have to be, you have to just you have to stop and smell the roses. You really do have to appreciate what's going on.
Yeah.
Because though we complain about what we're going through, there's always someone with a worse situation. And
that's very true.
There's possibly someone with no opportunity. So if we have the opportunity, we definitely should be happy about it. Every day is a good day. Every day you wake up is a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Because some people don't.
That's true. That's very true. I know I like to do this thing when I'm done working at a job. Man, I know this is gonna sound really crazy, but when I'm done working at a job or I'm done studying and completing all of the requirements to a degree at the schools that I've attended in the past, like whether it's been Queensborough, Brooklyn College, shout out to those schools, Queens College, or even my time served as a teacher at a couple of schools or whatever the case may be, I don't know why I do this, Mark, but as I'm walking away for the final time, I'm so dramatic. I always look at the building, look for like the name of the brand itself, and I just say thank you, and I walk away, man.
Wow.
I know that sounds really weird, but I don't know. That's just my way of showing gratitude. Like, like I was nothing, or you picked me up at my lowest moment, or like when I was just trying to get through this process, and who knows what I was dealing with, man. I probably was dealing with like, my dad passing away, or this or that, and just like, what, I got through it and I pushed through. So I just want to just like throw and reverberate positive energy back into the institutions or places that I've passed through. You know.
That is a beautiful thing. I mean, a lot of people dislike their past, but you have to love your past, man.
Right.
It's who you are today. It made us all who we are.
And I think the reason, and I think the reason why I do that, is because of what you just said, because it plays a part in who you are, and it's also part of the story, like,
Right.
when you're, if you see yourself as that thriving, successful entrepreneur / businessman one day, and you're ranting in an interview about what it is that you went through, I want to be able to say, I was at a big time university, but then I had to go eat shit, shout out to Gary V, for a couple of years at Queensboro, I had to go eat shit for a couple of years and go to this school or whatnot. I didn't like it, but you know what? It taught me a lot that not everything is guaranteed or handed to you. You got to go out and work. Put your head down and work.
That's a fact, bro. And I do something similar, but for every single job that I've ever had in my life, I take an artifact from that job and I put it in a box. So I have my Wendy's hat from my first job when I was 17. I've got my name tag from PetSmart, my name tag from Sears.
Wow.
So every single job that I've ever had, I keep something from. And when I have a son or a daughter, I'm going to give them that box and just show them like I worked my ass off, man. I was flipping burgers when I was your age. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I was doing. I was grinding.
That's pretty cool.
You don't have to grind because I grinded.
Right.
So you gotta. I just wanna show them the blood, sweat, and tears, and just let them feel a little guilt when they're sitting in the mail. You know what I mean? Like, listen.
Right.
I didn't grow up like you did, man.
Yeah, this is what Dad did. Dad did all the work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gotta show them.
That's pretty cool, man. It's so funny. I have a couple of name tags from past institutions that I've been to as well, but they're just all colleges, like at conferences. So they're not as like grinding from the mud as you are, man. That sounds awesome. So I don't think I'm gonna put mine in boxes.
Yeah, man. It's still a piece of the journey.
For sure. And also too, I think it unofficially it kind of strikes me too as a time capsule to show where you've been and where you're going.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, for sure.
Excellent. All right, man. So before we head to the word to the wise segment in a bit, I want to continue on, and I promise, Wise community, this part of the grind game won't be as strenuous and as long as the other one. It wasn't that long, but it was a bit more longer than I expected. But what do you think about the vocab words? I thought they were pretty cool. Don't you think, Mark?
Oh, yeah, definitely enjoyed that. That was great.
For sure. All right, so I'm going to read this next part of the grind game. It's called Striving for Greatness, Mark. And basically what this is it's just a couple of quotes that I've assembled on my grind vision board sheet. And I'm just going to read them to you, and I'm just going to see if I could get your thoughts from them.
Sounds good.
And Wise community out there, you should feel very, very thankful and appreciative. I'm trying to help you all, right? We're trying to help you all start your 2020 year off right by sharing some of our tips and secrets to success. So please heed all of this, all right? I don't usually share this on the regular. All right, so I'm going to read this first quote from you for you, Mark. I think you like this one. Motivation comes from darkness. Motivation comes from darkness. What do you think about that quote?
Yeah, that's a fact. I mean, I feel like I live by that. Yeah, that's behind my drive right there. Just, knowing where I'm coming from and what I'm going to be. So, yeah, that's the thing. I think emotion is what fuels change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to be upset with your situation in order to want to change it.
Yeah.
You have to be mad that you're poor to want to make moves to become wealthy or become rich.
Yeah.
So I think there's got to be darkness because if everything's peachy, why would you want anything to change?
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you all, Wise community, who the quote comes from after, so that way you know where to find it. So I actually compiled all of these quotes from Twitter from these users, and I put them on my board. That one is actually from Gary V. So at Gary V, ladies and gents.
Nice.
Yeah. This next one is study the people who inspire you. Study the people who inspire you. What do you think about that?
It's true. Yeah, I agree with that because if you're inspired by them and you want to be like them, emulate.
Yeah.
Emulate what they do. Just copy. I mean, and that's the beautiful thing about our generation. We have access to the people that inspire us. If we know them or we can go on their social media and watch them every day.
Yeah.
You definitely have the access
Yeah.
to copy and emulate. So
Yeah.
that's very true.
For sure. That one's by Aaron Simon, former network producer of Revolt TV and former columnist and managing editor at Hype Fresh Mag. So shout out to Aaron Simon. She's actually pretty cool. The next one here. Let the support/cosigns come naturally. Focus on the work and do it because you love it. Do dope shit and people will recognize.
I like that one.
Yeah, that one's
I
cool.
think, like, yeah, it's true. I mean, a lot of people hype themselves up. And I think it depends on if you're strategic with it, it makes sense. But a lot of people just hype up their accomplishments themselves, and they post what they've done on their social media. Look at me, I just did this. In reality, you're just asking for haters.
Right.
You're asking for people to criticize you. You just got to grind, man. Stop the posting and the pictures and this is my new car. This is that. It's just, we're showing too much. Like, I'm on vacation. It's too much, man.
Yeah.
You just gotta grind and let people, like it said, just let people give you the compliments. Don't compliment yourself.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm such a great, like, that's like you writing on your social media, I'm such a great writer. It's like someone's supposed to tell you you're such a great writer. You're not supposed to, compliment yourself. That's kind of tasteless. So
yeah,
that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. Well, I am a great writer, but you're absolutely right, though. I agree with you 100%.
No, I agree with you.
No, I'm just trying to lighten up the mood, man. It's all good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That one. If anyone of you out there want to follow this person, I don't know who this person is technically, but I stumbled across his page. That is by @JamesY NYC, @JamesYNYC, maybe Jamesy NYC. All right. This next one is a literature legend, by the way. She writes, "If you have some power, then your job is to empower somebody else." If you have some power, then your job is to empower somebody else.
That's a beautiful thing. I think Gary Vee talks about that a lot too. It's just like we say all the time. Like, when we're successful, we'll mentor others, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll give back,
mm-hmm.
allow our resources to be shared with others.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like with me, I feel like if I'm trying to get to the top, I've got to wait until I'm at the top,
right,
to share. Because I feel like it's more of a distraction for me to try to help on the way up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my thoughts on that one.
That's cool. That one's actually by the late literature legend Toni Morrison, the author of The Bluest Eye. Rest in peace to her. Yeah. This next one right here is we talked about it in our first segment of The Grind. Practice patience. You can't rush the universe. Don't try to pull open the flower. It all blooms according to plan.
That's a good one. You just let it play out. But
right.
Then again, that might be confused as like, just wait, just sit and wait.
Right.
Right. Well, then again, you've got to water that plant. You've got to, put the fertilizer down. So there is work to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not just waiting. We're definitely nurturing that flower.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's, I don't know this person as well, but if you would like to follow this person on Twitter or Instagram, they're @DestinyBlue, all right? And not blue as in BLUE, @Destiny, and then blue, BLEU. This next one right here is a really, really good one. I promise the universe listens to us. Speak it into existence and pay attention to when a moment presents itself.
That's a good one. I mean, I feel like I've always bought into the law of attraction and just, like it said, speak things into existence. If you want something, just put it out there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have thoughts, like they say, I want to be rich, I'm going to be wealthy, but very few can really speak it out into the universe and for others to hear them,
Right.
Because they have fear of embarrassment. They don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to say it. But let people know, you're going to be a millionaire, and let them know what you're going to have,
Mm-hmm.
and not in a show off type of way, but you just can't be afraid to let those words come out.
It's true.
Don't be shy with it, for sure.
Yeah. That one is by @it's_Mark Robert. All right, @it's_Mark Robert. So follow him. Man, this is another good one too. Oh, they're all great, but this is a good one too. Success is inevitable if you are consistent. Oh, it goes back to our grind one. The real question for me is not when or if I'll succeed, but do I love the project enough to commit to the time to see it to success?
That's a good one. That's interesting because Steve Jobs said something similar to that. Like, if you love what you do, you're guaranteed. Not guaranteed, but I think he said. Let me think about it. He said if you want to be successful at something, you have to love it, because if you don't, you'll fail.
Right.
But it's just like, how can you really buy into something if you don't enjoy it? Nobody wants to be miserable.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, definitely. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's by @Hausmuva, @Hausmuva, @HAUSMUVA. All right, on Twitter and Instagram, Hausmuva. All right, just a couple more here. This next one is pretty good too. I remember putting out my first video ever and it getting 7,000 views in a week, which was nuts. When I got those small wins, I genuinely felt very accomplished. That's what the universe rewards. Gratitude, Russ.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, definitely, because you gotta those small wins should be acknowledged for sure. It keeps you going.
Right.
It's similar to like how I kind of try to mark off the progress on my board every time I get closer and closer to a goal, because I feel like your mind needs that.
Yeah, for sure, to keep you focused.
Yeah, for sure, exactly.
So shout out to Russ. I didn't actually get that from his Twitter or Instagram. I think he said that in an interview, but it was pretty good. And that goes back to one of our previous grind keywords, gratitude. All right. Next one right here. Oh, this is a legend for sure in life. All right. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't come back to the pack and be normal for the sake of blending in with others. Don't dumb it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one, because any dream worth going for is gonna look crazy to other people. It's gonna look weird. Like when your family members tell you, get a good job with benefits, instead of starting your business, because that's too risky.
Mm-hmm.
It's too risky for them. It's not too risky for you.
Yeah.
I mean, is it really risk if you're willing to lose everything? It's a different mindset,
Right. That one. No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, it's definitely, just when it looks crazy to other people, it's just because they have normal thoughts. Those abnormal thoughts that will create millions. That's
real. That one is by none other than the pop legend himself, God rest his soul, Michael Jackson. All right.
Wow. Yeah, definitely.
This is another great one we have right here. The last three are just immaculate to me. Sometimes you have to be an asshole. Sometimes your teammates are going to hate you. But all the guys I went after, Luke Longley, Steve Kerr, Judd Bueller, they won multiple championships. So I'm pretty sure they understand. I think you know who that one's by.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's Mike, right?
Yep.
Yeah, man, that's a fact. I mean, yeah, people are gonna. It's just when you're that focused and determined, you're gonna hurt some feelings, man.
Yeah.
And you can't worry about that, because they know where you're going and you know where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like just hanging around great entrepreneurs. I'm sure, like, if you're ever watching Shark Tank, like, those guys hurt your feelings, but if you really buy into what they're saying, you'll get to the top.
It's true.
Like, they really tear brothers down. They really, people leave there crying, but the words that they're saying are so valuable.
Yeah.
You really got to take it, internalize it.
Yeah, for sure. This next one right here is another, current living legend as well. If you want to be excellent, you must commit to being excellent all the time until you develop a habit of excellence. Once excellence becomes a habit, then excellence just becomes who you are.
just got to be intentional, I guess. I mean, it becomes a lifestyle.
Right.
And you can't be great sometimes. It's just it becomes who you are. It's like when it's like when you see like an athlete and they retire and then they become a business person, and everything about them just changes. Just the way they carry themselves, just the way they, like Magic Johnson, like Michael Jordan. Once they left the game and they really took on that, entrepreneurial role in their lives, everything changed about them. The way they talk, the way they walk, the way they act.
Yeah.
The confidence is just dripping off of them because they know what they're talking about. They have the knowledge. So,
right.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, for sure. Travel in the direction of your fears.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, the things that will make you the most money is going to be scary. When it's investing, or when it's starting your own business, or going for that higher position, going for that promotion. It's going to be scary because of the extra responsibility, but you'll be rewarded if you can really push through it and get it done.
For sure. That one is actually by Kari Champion, all right, ESPN analyst.
Gotcha.
Lovely ESPN analyst. And the one about the habits of excellence, and excellence is excellence just becomes who you are, quote. That was Kobe Bryant, the legend himself. Kobe
Bryant. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And our final one for the day. Let's see. A lack of vision in our lives creates a bunch of dysfunction, and it creates a lot of unfulfilled desires and dreams.
Is it a lack of what?
A lack of vision in our lives creates a bunch of dysfunction, and it creates a lot of unfulfilled desires and dreams.
Wow. That's true. Because a lot of people are just living with no plan. They're just going to work, coming home, watching TV, going to sleep. They just keep doing that same thing with no vision or plan. And when they're on their deathbed, they say, I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have tried this.
Yeah.
They have so many wants and desires on the back burner because they were so caught in the loop.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, I'm not going to even say like it's easy to get out. That's a hard loop to get out of, but because you're tired, you go to sleep, you have to go to work to pay the bills, and it's just a hamster wheel, man. And you can wake up and you're 80.
Yeah, that's true. That's really real. I agree with you so much. I honestly don't think that, again, I'm nowhere where I'd like to be in my life right now, but I feel as if like I wouldn't have made any amounts of progress had I not known what I wanted, and had I not, taking the steps to get there. Even in college, like a lot of times in college, people end up wasting their time because they're taking courses and they're not even seeing if the courses align to the prerequisites and the requirements of their major. And then what ends up happening is that they're taking all these courses and then they're spending extra money and just essentially just wasting their time. And I always made sure, whether it was Queensborough, Brooklyn College, or Queens College, once I got myself in there and my foot in the door and I started, going into my major, I always went to the guidance office, or the advisor, that's what they call them, the academic advisor's office, and asked them if they had like a checklist sheet, with all the courses that I needed to take. And I would take that, put that in my folder, and then at the end of every semester, when it was time to register, I would register for my new courses, and then I would circle them because they were pending. I was going to do them. And all the prior courses that I had already circled, I would check them off, like, okay, one step closer towards getting my degree. I don't have time to waste. I got to get out of here.
Right, because they'll definitely let you waste your time, man.
They'll
take whatever you want.
For sure. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And then next thing you know, people are frustrated and they're like, wait, I thought I needed this. It's like, no, you actually didn't. You never really double checked and followed up. And like you said, they won't ask you to follow up. They'll just let you, they'll let you just, play the field, man. They won't tell you anything. And a lot of people end up getting frustrated like that. And then now they have to take a class like math or whatever the case may be, and they're failing it and they're retaking it. It's like, well, had you not been taking all these fluffy courses, physical education, yoga, all this other stuff that you don't need, if you didn't need it, you would have probably took that math course already twice, and the second time you would have passed it and got it over with, or whatever the case may be. So just a waste of time sometimes, I think, with those things. So yeah, definitely lack of vision definitely disrupts the vision and disrupts the progress in your life. And yeah, man, that's pretty much it, man. That was the grind. What did you think about that board, that vision board?
That was cool, man. It was cool to really get those quotes and just break them down and see how real they are, because it doesn't matter what you do in life, those quotes can they can apply to you.
Yeah, no matter what you're doing.
Everybody has goals, dreams, aspirations.
Agreed. Agreed, 100%. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. All right, the grind. We want to make sure we start off our 2020 year right. All right, and execute. I think we talk about that word a lot, Mark, and we talked about it before prior in our previous episode. Execute, right? That we want to make sure. Yeah, we want to make sure that we execute and actually do the things we say we're going to do. And if you haven't executed in the past, now's the time for you now to start a new one to kind of get that going. And please don't let this first episode scare you from like listening to us. I don't want you all, and I'm sure Mark doesn't want you all to think that every episode we're going to be preaching to you and like choir boys and telling you what you need to do to better your lives, because we're not where we want to be. We just know that this is like, these are some of the things that have worked for us personally that we've applied and made applicable to our lives. So there are going to be more episodes where we talk about a different array of topics, such as student loans, which is coming up, finances, relationships, friendships, ghosting in terms of friendships. I'm trying to think of so many other episodes we have planned for this season. The juvenile justice system, entrepreneurship. Yep, the juvenile justice system. Black educators, teachers in urban communities. There's so many different episodes we plan on, talking about or specializing in, touching upon, and things that we think that you all can truly take something away from it, especially if you're in a lot of these different fields that we're talking about. And I know Mark and I, we've been, reaching out to a lot of our contacts, and we're going to be bringing in a lot of people in to talk to you guys and to talk to us about a lot of these things that we want to do to make ourselves better people and make ourselves wise. So before we go, Mark, let's hit them with our newly christened and minted word to the wise segment. You want to go ahead and give it to them first, or should I go ahead and start it off today?
Yeah, let's see. We gave them so many words in the beginning, so let's see. A lot of great ones.
Do you want to pick one? Do you want to pick one of the ones we did already? Or you could do your own. Okay, cool.
Let's see. It's going to be a couple words. I can't really just find one, but it's going to be. Well, I'll say the word is why. So, what I'm really saying is find your why. Why? What is fueling you? What's driving you? Is it because you may be overweight, you may be low on funds, you may just be bad at budgeting money, maybe you may just want to get a promotion at your job, but you have to find out why. And for me, it's always been being poor. And when I say poor, I don't want to give the impression that I'm homeless or something crazy, but poor compared to millionaires, compared to these large corporations. It's just like you have to find what really fuels you and drives you to be successful, and hold on to it. Think about it every day. And it may sound unhealthy, but sometimes that's what really gets you over the hump. We have to realize why we're doing what we do, because we can kind of lose sight of that sometimes.
That's true. For me, I'm going to try to cheat and use two words today. A wise community, our word to the wise segment will usually always be one word, all right? I want to say focus, all right? Focus is my word. You want to make sure that you maintain focus and consistency throughout. That's another one of our words here. But yeah, focus. Make sure that you stay focused, because without focusing, you can end up going a ton of directions. And it kind of goes back to what Stefan says. I didn't even mention where that lack of vision quote came from. That's from Stefan Speaks, okay? At Stefan, Speaks. Stefan Speaks. Shout out to him, fellow Haitians, fellow Haitiens, like I say. All right, Stefan Labossiere. All right. So yeah, focus. Make sure you stay focused and make sure that you're locked in on everything that you're doing. And I'm going to go back to one of the words I talked about earlier and that I mentioned to Mark in my grind vision board: discipline. Discipline, I think, can take people a long way. I remember when I was going to school and I had friends hitting me up saying, hey, let's go out for a drink tonight, or hey, let's go do this. And I had to write papers and whatnot in order to graduate, I wouldn't be where I'm at now teaching or, working as a professor if I didn't have any discipline, I'd be caught up in the same old things that, a lot of the people that were trying to get me to do things were doing and are probably still doing now at that point in time. So discipline would be my word. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know if, it definitely is. I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to add.
Yeah, I think we covered everything, man. We gave them so many words, so many quotes. I think they have a lot to carry into 2020. A lot to think about.
Yeah, a lot to think about. Initially, Wise Community, we wanted to keep, and I guess I could put the blame on myself. I told Mark earlier off air that I wanted to see if we could keep this episode about 30, 35 minutes long, and I know we're like at an hour and 5 minutes right now, hour and 10, but I think this is a great tool, don't you think? I think this is a great how to do it tool in order to like stay focused, and kind of just stay consistent throughout the whole entire year building.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. I mean, we didn't overpower, with a list of things you need to do for 2020 and just make it so overwhelming. It's just, just be intentional. Get yourself a board, put it on the wall. You know what I mean? Just write your goals down.
Yeah.
Hold yourself accountable. It's just simple things.
Yeah.
Simple things that can help.
For sure. Excellent. Mark, would you, for one of the very first episodes, would you like to leave the Wise Community with your social handle so they could follow you online and ask you questions and whatnot and get to know you a bit?
Oh yeah, most definitely. You guys can follow me on Instagram, prudent_thoughts. That's PRUDENT_thoughts. You can hit me with any questions, comments, whatever you like, whatever questions you have investing related. Hopefully, I can help you out, have the answer for you. Yeah, I'm on there most of the time. What about you, Kev?
For sure. You could find me at Velovec, all right? My former poetry stage name used to be Kevalev. I'll get into that another day. So my IG handle is Velovec, VELEVEK. But it will change by the third episode, because my birthday is on the 21st of January. So it will change. It will become Kevin Anglade. I'll say it again, Kevin Anglade, my first and last name, my government name. Anglade, ANGLADE. So that's Kevin Anglade, ANGLADE 11. Just in case you're listening to this episode, way after January 8th, which is our official launch date, and you wanna you go there and you go to Velovec and you see that my username is not existent. All right, so Kevin Anglade 11, the number 11 essentially. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, so we'll be on there. You guys can talk to us and holler at us through Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is. And our email is thewiseguysnyc. All right, thewiseguysnyc@gmail.com. Twitter, I'm still working on it. I've been meaning to get to Twitter in a while, but I'm gonna get it up and running real soon. But hopefully it'll be the same thing, Wise Guys NYC. But I'll keep you guys informed. Instagram at Wise Guys NYC, and on Facebook, The Wise Guys NYC. So that's THE and then Wise Guys NYC. All right, so that's our show for today. All right, we hope you guys got a lot of gems out of it and you guys were prepared for 2020. All right, our next episode 2, as stated previously, will be about student loans. All right, it'll be called Young and Broke. Okay, Young and Broke, and I know Mark's gonna have a lot to say on that one. So can't wait to get there with you all and tune in and to make this one long, incredible journey, hopefully. So we're happy to have you, and we hope that you guys will be happy to have us. So as I said at the beginning of the podcast, this is your boy, Kevin Anglade.
And this is Mark Prudent.
And we are the Wise Guys Podcast. Follow us on all streaming services, all streaming platforms. We'll see you all next week. Happy New Year, everyone.